Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. What's up guys, Dave here from Metal Epidemic, back with another album review, and for this review Duncan Kyle and I have been checking out the new album from Toronto-based metal band Head of Jeddore. The band's new album How to Slaughter a Lamb will be released on May 28th. So we actually reviewed an album back in March by a band called Old. You may remember this. They put out a pretty stunning release called Pilgrimage that we all really enjoyed, and you should definitely check out if you haven't heard it. But the guitarist of Old, Greg Dawson, he's been a pretty busy guy recently. Not only has he put out the Old album, which he recorded, produced, he's also put out another release from one of his other bands, Grail. And now we have an album from his new band, Head of Jeddore. This man is using lockdown time very productively, it seems. So this band, as I said, features Greg from Old, and also guitarist Billy Curtis from the Abandoned Hearts Club and a band called Cunter, which is could be the greatest band title
for a band ever.
Vocalist Friendly Rich Marcella from Friendly Rich and the Lollipop People, and also features guests like Damien Abraham from Fucked Up and Kenny Bridges from Monine. Head of Jeddore is said to be a more intense and frenetic metal attack, tapping into a wide variety of musical influences while staying fierce and fiery. So there we go. Head of Jeddore. Okay, so what did we make of this one, gentlemen? We were all pretty impressed with the Old album, as I said, but did we feel the same about Head of Jeddore? Duncan, what did you make of this one?
I mean, I don't think you could easily compare the two bands. I think they exist in two completely different spheres.
Yes.
Which is really interesting, because even guitar-wise, the Old album had such a distinct guitar tone. Which is not present here at all. So he's clearly switching things up to match the music that he's writing.
Yeah.
On the surface, Head of Jeddore is a really interesting listen. It's nice and short, which made me smile. And I think their description about it being punchy, and not really letting up, is probably the best description for this. It really has a kind of singular vision of tempo, and it kind of sticks to that. Yes, there are some slower dynamics in there, but for the most part, it's attack. The first thing that stood out to me, and we've had an off-air conversation, so and I'm not calling Dave a liar, but I'm calling Dave a liar. I genuinely thought that the dude that does the kind of lower range kind of spoken word and weird screaming noises in Sikth was on this, because that's what the vocalist sounds like at times, not all the way through. They have a real kind of train of thought in the lyrics that I found really interesting. It does go all over the place. At times it reminded me a little bit of, and this is an old reference, so get it? Old reference. There's an old reference to, if you ever watched the Fast Show back in the day, for all the UK peeps out there, during the Fast Show there was a segment where they did the Bosnian news, or it was the Bosnian weather, and they would always in the middle of it say Buttress Gali, who was a person, but you couldn't make out anything else they were saying apart from the words Buttress Gali. And in here they specifically, and I think it's on Blood Waltz, they mention I'm sure it was a Bosnian leader, and his name has now escaped my brain, because they mention it about 100 times, and I'm like, what a strange lyric to have here. And then that's kind of the whole lyrical theme here, is it's all very strange, it's very abstract and avant-garde. Yeah. You said the singer has a band called what?
Well, it has Friendly Rich, and then I think it's a separate band called the Lollipop People. I don't know if that's the same band. I'm not entirely sure.
I want to think that it is the same band, and it's Friendly Rich and the Lollipop People. You know what I mean? Like, just that to me would make me very happy. Also makes me think that maybe, without knowing anything about him, he maybe comes from a more kind of avant-garde performative background, which would explain the vocals. They're very much stories. Like, by the time you get to Peepholes and Moles, he's like at the end painting a picture of a boy going to the library. Like, he's like end scene and begin. Sort of thing, and I really like that because it's quirky and it's different. We've listened to a lot of albums in the last year and a bit, and I feel at times we spend a lot of time either praising vocalists because they've got great singing voices, or great growly voices, or a great screaming tone that we don't always delve too deep in on how you can use vocals in different ways. And one of them is, and it's one of the reasons I used to love Sikth so much, is the fact that you had those amazing melodies, but like every song was a picture. Like, it was always painted like poetry. And this is what I got from this. So like the first thing that hooked me in was the vocals. I was like, this is very much in my sphere of interest. So I dug that. The next thing that's worth saying is, musically, it's really eclectic. Like, there's a lot going on here. It's at times thrashy, it's punky, it's got a bit of hardcore in there, it's got some grooves, and it's all kind of, like I said before, like, brought in a nice snappy attack pace. It reminded me at times of Dog Fashion Disco when they were at their heavier moments, or even when they went on to do... what was the name of their spin-off band? It's not Knife Party, but...
another one.
Yeah, Knives Out.
Knives Out,
yeah. So it reminded me of when they started doing stuff like Knives Out, but they don't have an organ in this band, so you can forget that. What they do have in this band, and it made me smile more than I should have smiled, is a fucking banjo that comes in on Kathmandu. There's a bluegrass banjo that starts picking towards the end, and I was like, yes, and then they start going off in a weird tangent. And Kathmandu's a funny word to say. You don't see it often. And I've said it a lot. I'm going to say it again. Kathmandu. So yeah, it's just a really... I struggle to say that I loved it. I didn't love it by any stretch of the imagination, but there was something infectious about it that kept me coming back. I think it's the energy and the drive and just the playfulness of the album overall really captured my attention. It starts off, interestingly enough, I think it gets a bit more daring towards the end, and that was the stuff that I really kind of felt like, oh, like, you just keep going, give me another song, because it's a fairly short release. It's under 33 minutes, and you're getting 10 songs. I kind of felt like if they put one or two more kind of playful songs at the end, I would have really enjoyed it. But yeah, once again, production totally suits the band, so if he's back on production duties, he clearly has an ear for exactly what he wants his band to sound like. It worked. Everything's well produced. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird, strange, bizarre little audit of a release, mostly because of the vocals. The rest of it isn't really doing much that you haven't heard other bands do. It's just kind of it's been brought together in the melting pot, and then some bizarre avant-garde style vocals have been put over the top in parts. Still got a metal tone to it. It's still a metal vocalist. But he's playful with what he does and some of the tones that he does as well. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I maybe not what they were looking for with an album called How to Slaughter a Lamb, but I thought it was playful. I thought it was a really fun album. So yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Kyle, what about yourself?
I think it's a pretty playful title. I don't know. How to Slaughter a Lamb. First you grab it by the... Yeah.
Norway's changed you, man.
Yeah. Nah, I agree. The first thing I thought was like, is this Mikey Goodwin from Sikth? And I had to go and read the thing. I was like, oh, it's not. It's three dudes from Toronto. All right, cool. Well, they clearly like Sikth. Let's put it that way. If that's not in the list of influences, I will be blown away, because there was a lot of it in there. From like even stuff in the guitar, I was like, that's an influence. Could be. If not, then it is the biggest coincidence. But anyway, I mean, I even wrote down, if Sikth were a 70s band, they would be these guys. Like, but no, I agree with a lot of what you said, definitely. I think they stand out enough on their own, musically, especially from a lot of the other stuff we've listened to the past year and a half, that it was a real up point for me. I quite like this album. I listened to it loads, and I will continue listening to it loads. And it's got a lot of standout moments. Like especially just the beginning, like you said, the Kathmandu banjo was just completely out of what the hell, where did that come from? But it worked, and I loved it. I don't like banjo at all. I tried to play one once, and I put it down, and I was like, I'm never going near banjo again. I hate the fucking thing. But it kind of worked here, because it was like you said, playful, and just sort of a little poke in the, yeah, we could do this too, look, check it out.
It totally worked as well, that's the thing.
Yeah,
it totally fits that song.
Yeah, just fit it right away, like, okay, cool. This is the only time in my life, second time in my life I've enjoyed banjo, and the first time was Billy Connolly, so...
I'm trying to remember, was it like going refresh my memory, like Old, was that the one that had the saxophone in it?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. So I mean, like, they clearly, like, this, you can't hear this on the recording, well, you can't see it on the recording, but I'm smiling because I love bands that just take a risk on an instrument that's not usually associated with the genre that you're playing in, and then just put it in and it works.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And the guitar solos, they supported the songs as well. They weren't just some mindless wankery. They were like, no, this something actually elevates the song and brings it to another level. So I quite enjoyed that, because a lot of guitar solos you hear nowadays, like, oh, now it's the point in which we have to do a guitar solo, so let's write something. And it was just like, okay, you can play really fast, great. But this was like, it's quite melodic, it's really well structured. And the production, I know it's the same dude that did Old, and I sucked his dick on that last album, and I'm going to do it again here. It's perfect. I've got nothing to complain about. It's absolutely fantastic, the production on this. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to make his band sound like the band that he's producing. So,
yeah.
If you need someone to work with you in the studio, give me a call. He's got a lot of stuff to teach, I can imagine. But I like the way they switched up the grooves and stuff as well. That did keep me interested, because a lot of it started off pretty quick, and then it slowed down, and they chopped and changed and stuff. So that was really good, because a lot of these bands, they just go fast as fuck all the time. But they switched it up quite a lot. Enough. I know it's only a half-hour album, over 10 tracks, so you wouldn't expect they would, but they did. And it stood out to me as an up point that they kept on changing things a bit more often than you would expect. So, no, I really liked it. Loved this album.
Nice.
Davey.
Yeah, for me going into this, I wasn't quite sure what to expect, because like we'd obviously reviewed the Old album, really enjoyed it. I was kind of expecting something maybe along similar lines, but I feel like Head of Jeddore definitely do have more of a kind of modern kind of metal streak to their sound than something like Old. But I did feel like it still had that kind of like almost kind of sludgy texture to a lot of the riffs. As you said, Duncan, there is like a smidge of like hardcore in there, and there's a kind of bit of punk kind of oddness in there as well. But I felt like the styles were really well balanced. It never feels like any of the styles they mix together are overpowering, but at the same time, each track has its own personality without sounding out of place. From the kind of opening track, Untitled track, which, like, when I first heard it, it was like a kind of sludge punk System of a Down or something like that. That's the kind of vibe I was getting from that first track. But then they go into stuff like the Tragedy Network, which is more kind of high tempo, and it blends these more kind of dissonant, kind of angular, kind of type hardcore riffs. Little bits that reminded me of like bands like Unsane or even Fudge Tunnel at times. But then they go from that and a kind of far darker, kind of more doomy affair on Let Me Rot. There's so much variety on this. It's hard not to be totally kind of intrigued by it. And I never felt like they were just repeating the same idea either. Every track had that little something different about it. Like you said, as like throwing in a banjo like alongside a big sludgy riff on Kathmandu, which was absolute genius. It was like part Scissor Fight meets Tombstone Highway, that kind of thing. I absolutely loved that. I thought the blend of that was amazing. But for me, the absolute star of the show is Friendly Rich Marcella. What a personality. This guy just brings such a uniqueness and eccentricity to the whole thing. Like his vocal style and delivery is just fantastic on this. He's got that kind of gravelly, kind of sludge type vocal, but he weaves in this unconventional peculiarity that's in tone with like a kind of Surge from System of a Down, or I was getting kind of like Mike Patton at times as well on tracks like The Age of Entitlement. And then there's that kind of, again, going back to the kind of Scissor Fight thing, I was getting a bit of a kind of Iron Lung thing in there on the kind of low register parts as well. I thought he took this to that next level for me. Musically, it's varied enough to keep you engaged, but I felt like the vocal performance on this adds that kind of element of memorability. It was the vocal parts that were in my head after listening to this. Plus, it helps. It's like a 30-minute album. It's very much an album you can just kind of stick on repeat. And that last track, the Bake Sale, is an absolute banger of a track. It's catchy. It's got energy. It's got some really kind of discordant groove riffs, and vocally, I think it captures Rich Marcella's personality perfectly. It's a great closing track. Production-wise, like you guys have said, suits the band down to the ground. It's very natural and organic sounding, much like the other stuff that Greg does. Never sounds like overly processed or flat. He's got a real talent actually behind the mixing desk, and obviously a great guitarist as well. I really enjoyed it. I thought, like you guys have said, it was a fun album. It's got enough kind of big riffs to satisfy the kind of your want for something heavy, but it's also got that kind of quirkiness that it kind of keeps you interested the whole way through. It's not perfect. I think there were a couple of tracks that maybe just didn't stand out as much as the rest, but to be honest, the good stuff for me far outweighs any negative stuff on this release. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
What I like is they closed out with a really heavy song called Bake Sale.
So, ratings. What did we think for Head of Jeddore, How to Slaughter a Lamb? Duncan, what are you going with rating wise?
This is a 4-star album. Like I said, really enjoyed it. It's nice, short, sharp. Vocals are really interesting. Songs are bouncy, varied enough. This one has repeat listens all over it. It's an album that almost challenges you not to hit play when it finishes. So yeah, 4 from me.
Nice. And Kyle?
Yeah, I'm going to come in with a 4 as well. Great album. Really, really. It's going to be in my playlist for a long time. So 4 and a
Awesome.
5.
I will join you guys on a 4 out of 5 as well. As you said, enjoyable album that I probably will go back to throughout the year. It's just a kind of fun album just to kind of stick on. This one drops on May 28th. It's been self-released by the band, so you can check them out at facebook.com/Head of Jeddore Band. I'll put a little link in the description below to their Facebook and to their Bandcamp page where you can get the album. Check it out, let us know what you think. Stick some comments in below if you've had a listen to this and let us know what you think of it. That is the review. Much appreciated for checking it out. Thank you. And we'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.